Hi, I'm Mike Gilliam, and this is a special encore edition of A Slice of New York. We revisit an old friend. For more than 40 years, Arnold Wilkerson has been putting smiles on the faces of New Yorkers with his delicious pies from the Little Pie Company. But what makes his pies so good that people will line up along West 43rd Street to get them? We learn from the pie man himself on this special encore edition of A Slice of New York.
I think they're probably the best pies I've ever eaten.
Arnold Wilkerson's customers come from all over the tri-state area, and now with the internet, they come from across the country. They all praise the Pie Man.
And all the time that I'm walking down this neighborhood or somewhere, hello, Mr. Pie Man, you know, so it's a wonderful sense of pride that people respect your company in such a way.
Arnold was not always a baker. Like many, he came to New York to be an actor, after getting a scholarship and going to study theater in London at the Royal Academy.
I did have sort of a theater career and a movie career. I was in the original cast of Hair at the New York Shakespeare Festival with Joe Papp when he opened it, yeah. And then went on from there and did a play with Cecily Tyson called The Autobiography of Jane Pittman.
Arnold says he even acted overseas after an Italian director saw him perform here and asked him if he would like to do a play in Italy. But when he returned without future acting gigs lined up, he decided to make a career change and become a baker, baking pies in his apartment in the same building the store is located in Manhattan Plaza.
It just seemed natural that since I was working as a waiter to go into the food business.
He says since he didn't know anything about making dinners or real cooking, he thought about pies and remembered how while growing up in California, his mother baked pies. That led to an important question. When you live in New York City, where does one go to get a good slice of pie? But nothing came to mind.
And so I thought, well, why can't you just make a pie, take it around to a restaurant, if they like it, charge them for the next one, and that's how I got started, baking pies out of my apartment.
It worked, and 40 years later, he's still baking pies, but out of his store, the Little Pie Company. His customers can't get enough and keep coming back.
I love the pie. The pie is good. I have had key lime pie, and I've also had the sour cream apple pie, which is like really, really, really good.
Arlen Ortega is head baker. So let's make a pie.
The pie that Arlen is about to make is one of our signature pies. It's the plain old-fashioned apple pie like your mother or grandmother might have made. And what you see him now doing, he's tossing the apples to make sure that they're all covered with the various seasonings that you would use, the cinnamon, the sugar, the various spices. And then as he covers those apples, what he's going to do, he's going to, once they're fully smothered in these spices, he's going to fill up this pie crust all the way to the top. And then afterwards, he's going to lay a clump of butter on these so that the flavor of the butter seeps through these and it keeps that pie nice and juicy.
They use different apples depending on the pie. Granny Smith for the apple sour cream walnut. Golden Delicious for the traditional pie.
One thing about Arnold, never ever scrimps on the butter, the flour, the best apples, the best ingredients. I've never ever had a bad slice.
If you change the quality, you're probably going to lose the customer.
Okay, so we've watched them make the pies. Let's find out how they actually taste. Let's give it a taste test. Delicious. And in addition to creating delicious treats over the last 40 years, Arnold and his team have also created lasting memories.
One day we were invited to take part in Black History, and we took part of it at the top of the Empire State Building. And their little pie company made a sign that said, if you can bake it here, you can bake it anywhere. Nice. And every time I look at that building, now it's more than just a building that I saw in pictures. We were up there at the top of the Empire State Building.
All righty then. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll talk more with Arnold in studio about running a business like this and how budding entrepreneurs can get a start. You're watching A Slice of New York. Welcome back. I'm Mike Gilliam, and this is A Slice of New York. The founder of the Little Pie Company, Arnold Wilkerson, is here in studio to continue our conversation. Now, Arnold, welcome to you, and thanks for coming in.
I appreciate you inviting me. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's good to have you. Now, we mentioned that you started the business baking pies in your apartment at Manhattan Plaza. How did that work?
Well, I had been watching a television program, and it was in the 80s, and the announcer said that this was the year of the entrepreneur, and I let that resonate with me, and decided that since my career as an actor was a bit fledgling, that going into another business probably should probably be something that I give thought to, and when I was working in the restaurant, we used to invite each other over to each other's houses to make dinners. And they never liked my main courses, but they always liked the desserts. And the thing that we'd always say to each other after dinner is, you should start a business, you should start a business. And I guess I was one of the ones that took it seriously and decided that since they liked my desserts, that I would give the apple pie a try. And then I happened to be watching a Phil Donahue show, and a guy on the show there said, you know, that there was a time in America that if you wanted to start a business, you just wrote taxi on your car and drove around and picked up people, and then you started a fleet of taxis. So I thought, well, if I baked an apple pie, I could take that around to restaurants and just give it to them, and if they asked me for another one, I charge them for it.
Okay.
And so I started that way.
So then you did that, and you were actually doing this out of the apartment. How did that work?
Well, you know, when you start out something, you've got to find out if you have an audience for it. And so I started, when I was working in the restaurant, I'd bake my pies, and I'd take them to customers in the restaurant. And they'd always say, can you bring me another one? And so my customers actually got me started. And then one of the customers actually had a friend that worked for New York Magazine. And that friend wrote an article that said, buy this American pie. And so my phone started ringing off the hook. And then I knew I had something going, and went from there.
Okay. But then it grew, so you could no longer just bake in your oven, right?
Well, that's true too. So I had to be inventive, and so I knocked on the doors of some of my fellow apartment dwellers and asked them if I could use their ovens. And they, because it was a theater building, you know, and understood the craziness of actors, said sure. So I bought 4 timers, and I put those timers in my apartment, and when I would take 4 pies to their apartment, I'd wait for that timer to go off, take it out, bring it back, and I was doing that all through the night. And then getting up and going to work the next day, and then just buying product and just, you know, just kept it up.
Wow.
It was a crazy and insane time, but it was how I started.
Yeah, it must have been very rewarding as that's going on. Now, another thing that happened during that time is that you kind of got in with celebrities with your pies. Tell me about that, how that happened.
There was a restaurant downstairs called Curtain Up, and one day Bobby Short, Liza Minnelli, and Chita Rivera were having dinner there, and I took my pie down there, and they called me to come down and tell me how great it was, and that I should get it around to some of their other celebrity friends. And from there, we began to build kind of an audience. And then the building got wind of the fact that I was baking pies in my apartment and using other people's floors, other people's apartments. And they offered me a small space in the building. But before that happened, one of the customers at that particular restaurant happened to be a banker and wanted to meet me. And she knew that my name was Arnold, and first thing she said, well, the name like Arnold, I expect a little Jewish kid to come downstairs, and it was you. And I said, well, okay. So she introduced me to Richard Ravage, who had the Bowery Bank at the time, and we would go to the meetings at their executive meetings, and I would take them pies, and they finally agreed to give me a small loan, which to me wasn't a small loan because it was $60,000, but I had no money at all. And because they trusted me so much, they gave me that loan without any collateral. And so prior to having that space, I had already been searching for ovens and sinks and stuff like that. And guys down in the Bowery, I got to know them. And so when we got this small space, they helped me set it up. And we created the first little pie company. And I was the only one in there except for this lady that I had met that gave me a hand also. So we opened our doors, and a very strange thing happened. You want to hear this story?
Yeah.
Okay. The first day that we opened our doors, a priest came by and he said, I want to bless your business.
Oh, wow.
And then shortly after he left, there was a UPS guy who was a Pentecostal minister. And he said, I want to hold your hand and bless this business. And then, believe this or not, a spiritualist came by and she said, oh, this company's been built with love.
Wow.
And all of that happened within the first half hour of we opening our doors.
Wow.
And ever since that experience, I just knew that somehow, we were going to go forward. And going forward with the pie company, from there just took us on a very special journey, a journey that got us through all the ups and downs that you can possibly imagine. But then a lady from the New York Times wrote an article about the pie company and kind of put us on the front page of the country. And that was very, very exciting.
Wow. You've developed very loyal customers.
Oh, indeed, yes.
But at the same time, you also have very loyal workers. Talk to me about how you have workers now that you've had forever.
Well, all of the workers that we have now, especially the bakers, all started with me as dishwashers. Now they're running the company. The head baker, the assistant head baker, all of those people have been with me for over 35 years. And they have helped me to develop public trust as far as the product is concerned. And we've never, ever cut back on the quality of our product and always maintained the integrity of the company that way. So they have been very, very loyal. In fact, I'm here today with Raul, who, when we got a warehouse, became our warehouse manager. But he's become much more than the warehouse manager. He's also become a person that is very much into something that I didn't know about. I started the company in terms of brick and mortar. Mm-hmm. Raul is into AI. So he and Danny, the vice president of the company, who also started with us when he was a teenager.
He started when he was in high school?
Danny was in high school, graduating from high school. Raul was in high school when he knocked on the door. He's running the entire shipping department of the company now and coming up with amazing ideas. Veronica is our right hand in so many of the areas. So all of these people have stayed with me. And soon I'm going to be turning the company over to Danny and over to Raul and over to Veronica, and they're going to take it to the next level.
Mm-hmm. What's next for Arnold Wilkerson?
Oh, well, I've always enjoyed travel, and I was in Ghana not too long ago, and somehow I think I'd like to retire and live in Ghana.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Take the pies to Ghana?
Oh, no. I would take the pies and enjoy doing what I'm doing in Ghana. I adopted 3 children, and I'm seeing them through school.
Okay. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Excellent stories, Arnold. I
Thank you.
really enjoy them. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll hear more from Arnold and also from some people who have tips for those looking to start their own businesses, as well as resources from CUNY and others that can help to get you started and eliminate some of the mistakes people sometimes make. This is a slice of New York. I'm Mike Gilliam, and this is a slice of New York. We've been talking to the founder of the Little Pie Company, Arnold Wilkerson, about his business and how he got started and grew the business over the years. But Arnold started about 40 years ago, and things have changed a lot in that time. We've got some of that covered for you, though. Joining me, we have 3 more guests who have their fingers on the pulse of the city when it comes to startups. Ying Zhou leads the Tech Incubator at Queens College and is Interim Associate Director of the Queens College Small Business Development Center. Rosa Figueroa is the Director of the Small Business Development Center at LaGuardia Community College. And Ben Cox, well, he's the director of the Small Business Development Center at Baruch College. The founder of the Little Pie Company, Arnold Wilkerson, is still with us. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ben, let's start with you. What's the climate like right now for starting a small business?
I think that there's always, in New York City especially, a ton of energy, a ton of ideas, and more than anything, a ton of resources, right? So I'm excited to be here to share a little bit about what resources entrepreneurs can take advantage of as they pursue their startup paths. It's not easy. It's never been easy, but there's more resources than ever. I do believe that.
Okay. Ying, what should a person be looking at if they're just thinking about going ahead and going into business for themselves at this point?
Well, first, I think one question they should ask themselves is why do they want to start a business? Because that's important for them. And then think about what problem they're trying to solve for the people they want to serve. And from there, they should identify a specific group of people that they think whatever they are creating can benefit from the group of people they try to serve. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
So you're thinking like that they really need to kind of have a clear vision? Is that what you're getting at?
Well, they should be working towards that, because otherwise, if you just start business because you see other people are starting business, making money, or you want to quit a job, those are not good reasons to start a business, and it won't sustain you long term.
Rosa, how about you? If I came to you and said, hey, I think I want to start a business, what would you tell me?
Well, number one, I want to find out, we need to plan, business plan. We also have to figure out your funding. Do you have enough funding to start? At least, do you have initial funding? Can we take you to the bank? Do you have experience in the industry? We also ask you, there's so many, the resources are there so that we can provide you with the advisement, education, and the research to make sure that you can put your plan together and present it to a lender, and that you have enough capital to keep that business going for at least 12 months until you make enough revenue to continue covering your expenses. Basically, that what we call it working capital is going to cover your operating expenses, which includes your salaries, includes basically paying all the bills and buying inventory. Because if you're doing retail or manufacturing, you need to have inventory. And you can't have inventory without having capital.
Is that a mistake that a lot of people make, though, and not having enough money when they start out?
Yes. And working in this field for so many years, I've actually had clients who didn't listen and actually were out of business in a few months because they didn't have money to purchase their inventory. Mm-hmm. When if you're retail, if you're manufacturing, you need to have inventory.
Mm-hmm. Now, when Arnold started, he went out there on a limb. He had, what, $250 in your pocket when you made that move?
That's right. $250 and a dream. Mm-hmm. And was just willing to make a lot of sacrifices and go forward. Yeah.
Is that kind of your advice to somebody who might want to start a business? You got to make sacrifices. You got to be.
Well, you have to be prepared to make sacrifices, and you have to be prepared to work incredibly long hours, and you have to just kind of put blinders on and just go forward and just keep seeing that light at the end of the tunnel. Mm-hmm. That's what makes all the difference in the world. And you'll find that as long as you are able to sell that pie and get a little money back, sell that pie, get a little money back, that you can do it. But my suggestion to anyone who wants to start up is to certainly start small and grow and make sure that there's an audience for the product that they are making or trying to get across, and they can test that product on family and on friends to make sure that someone wants what it is that they're offering.
Okay, so what you're kind of talking about is the way you started and the fact that you baked out of the apartment, so you didn't have that overhead.
That's right. The overhead is something I couldn't have started if I started large. I had to start small and see if I had an audience for the product that I was making. Mm-hmm.
Does that kind of jibe with your thoughts, Ben?
Absolutely. You know, in our line of work at the SBDC, we advise entrepreneurs day in and day out, right? 1,000 entrepreneurs at our center, 1,000 at Rosa centers, and so on. So we've seen it all. over the course of our career. And throughout the course of 1 year in particular, or any given year, we see all sorts of industries, all sorts of stages, all sorts of problems that people are trying to solve. But one underlying piece of advice that we have for all these entrepreneurs is exactly in line with Arnold's advice. Start small, start somewhere, start small, and get some feedback and reiterate and learn and reiterate. And I think that even if you don't have a lot of resources in your own pocket or in your bank accounts, if you can make a sale, then you've got something. You know you've got something, and you can keep at it. Hopefully that provides the fuel that you need to get up the next day and do it again.
Now, I'm talking with people who are involved in the CUNY system here, okay? So I think one of the first questions a person watching this would say is, well, do I have to be a CUNY student to tap into these resources?
No.
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 No, it's open to general public. There are tons of resources, and SBDC being one, but there are many other incubators, accelerators, and commercial kitchens, especially for food entrepreneurs, and lots of consultants and advisors. Like a SCORE is an organization that provides free mentors. So a lot of people don't necessarily know the existence of all these resources. That may not be, all of them may not be available when you first started. So definitely talk to people and find out. And but other things haven't really changed that much. What he said is still very, very true. A lot of foodpreneurs still start their business in their kitchen, and then they try it with their family and friends, and then they try to find a commercial kitchen that they can make more. But that testing process is very, very important. Yeah.
Ben, how do you tap into these resources?
There are a ton of resources. The first thing I would suggest everybody does is come to nysbdc.org, request an appointment with an SBDC business advisor, and we'll help you navigate that ecosystem. Whether you're looking to talk to a banker or an accountant, you're looking to have a business plan developed or reviewed, you're looking for advice on hiring or firing. As a SBA resource partner, we're here to field those questions and help entrepreneurs navigate the environment here in New York City. So come to the SBDC, go to New York City Small Business Services as well. Go to the public libraries, they have business service centers. Any of those 3 locations or 3 centers are really, really strong and robust resources for entrepreneurs.
Rosa, do you like ideas of some politicians are saying that they would like to have a tax credit for people who want to start a small business? Is that something that would be helpful?
It would be very helpful, because a lot of small business owners, they end up losing their business because their accountant does something, or they have so much taxes to pay that they have no knowledge of. And before you know it, they can't function because their revenue is going to pay taxes. So that would be very helpful.
How much cash do you need to actually get out there and start a business?
It depends on the type of business. So you need to start planning. You need to find out, you have to do financial projections. You basically want to figure out how much who are you going to sell to, who's your niche, your demographic. You do have to do your marketing, and you need to find out also about making sure that you have your licenses and your permits, so that you're actually working legally in the city of New York or wherever you are.
That really leads me to a question that I had been wondering about in watching the news lately. In New York City, we recently legalized cannabis, okay? And a lot of people were waiting on what I consider a slow rollout on the business licenses for that. And consequently, many of those businesses have been shuttered now, and the money that was in the business, the product, all of that confiscated. Is that something that kind of points to the fact that you need to be licensed if you're going to start a business?
Yes, you need to find out what licenses you need in that particular area. You need to contact the different agencies in the city and making sure that you're doing things legally.
What's the biggest pitfall that you see people falling into when they start a business, Ben?
For me, I think the pitfall is actually before launch, and that is probably a tendency of entrepreneurs to keep their ideas to themselves, to be afraid of sharing and not talking openly enough about the idea. I think that all sorts of stakeholders can add value in those early planning stages, whether it's a customer, a prospective customer, a potential partner, a possible supplier. These are all folks who can help to shape the idea and really make sure it's sound.
How about you, Rosa?
You have to look at your competition. Especially if you're going to do a brick and mortar, to see sometimes your competitors can be your allies too. You can work with them. So you need to look at your competition and see what is the uniqueness of your business and how you can be a little different and yet bring customers. So sometimes you start a business and what determines the future of the business is the need of the community.
Ying?
Yeah, you should really know the industry and have some domain knowledge in the area you wanted to pursue, and then really understand who your customers are before you actually get into other things. Spend money, let's say, create a website or something. Yeah, those can wait until you really know who your customers are, and then you can get started. Yeah.
Okay. Arnold, I'm almost out of time, but I want to get one last thing from you. What's your advice to a person that might want to start a business or is considering starting a business?
Well, realize, like you said, that there are going to be a lot of pitfalls, and they should anticipate those pitfalls before they go into business. For instance, you're going to have breakdowns. Do you have enough money to cover those breakdowns? You're going to have taxes. Do you have enough money to cover those taxes? There are just so many things that you need to see on paper in advance, so that you are not just starting a business, but you understand that you're going to have salaries, you're going to have light, you're going to have gas, you're going to have water, and sometimes you're going to have equipment breakdowns, refrigerators, ovens, all those things. If you don't allow for money to cover those unanticipated costs, you're going to find yourself in trouble, and you can avoid that by looking at the negative as well as you look at the positive.
Okay. Yeah, you'd always be playing catch up.
Yes.
Sure. Okay, excellent. The pies look good too. We're going to try those in just a second, but that's going to have to be the last word. Just great information for budding entrepreneurs. I want to thank our guests, Ying Zhou, who leads the Tech Incubator at Queens College and is Interim Associate Director of the Queens College Small Business Development Center. Rosa Figueroa, the Director of the Small Business Development Center at LaGuardia Community College. And Ben Cox, the Director of the Small Business Development Center at Baruch College. And of course, the founder of the Little Pie Company, which is celebrating its 40th anniversary, Arnold Wilkerson. And thank you for joining us. I'm Mike Gilliam. We'll see you next time on A Slice of New York. And now, we're going to try the pie.